Since the start of the year, I've only been using for any data projects those 3 simple tools. Whether it's work projects where I need quick prototyping to showcase an idea or a new functionality that I need to do, or even personal projects, I always start with those that I would call basics for the year 2026. Obviously, the goal here is a list of simple tools that can make basically any data project work, and you can add complexity on top of them, but only once the project really demands that. So here it's for a lightweight, quick setup, but still very, very efficient. And the first tool is dbeaver. I've mentioned it in videos before. It's just the universal DB client. It's one tool for any types of DB, whether it's MySQL, Postgres, your Snowflake, your Databricks, anything that is like a DB, you can just plug that to it and run all your queries, save your different script SQL files that you need to run on all of these DBs, see the statuses of these DBs, explore the schemas. It just has everything that you need to quickly explore the data, see what's in it, see how it's built. Obviously, it is missing some very advanced functionalities, but that, in my opinion, you maybe use 0.1% of the time. So for a quick data project, you really don't need more than this, and it avoids whenever you need to connect to multiple DBs, which, for instance, in a migration type of project, very common that you will have the old DB and then the new system that you want to migrate to, and having everything into one DB client just makes it much easier than having to juggle 5 different DB specific GUIs that are also very often much more heavy to load. It's a very simple interface with dbeaver. You know what you get. Nothing very complicated. You just have your DBs on one side and then your scripts, the SQL queries that you run, and the results below. Nothing extra, nothing complicated. It's also free, open source, so just very straightforward solution for running any type of queries on any type of DBs. And quite frankly, I've tried other tools as well, much more powerful tools, but first of all, the licenses are always so expensive, and I've never needed the extra functionalities that they bring as much as the cost of those tools. So in the end, it has never been really worth it for me to go with any special tool. Maybe sometimes I still have a DB specific of my main DB on the project that I also use, but that's very rare specific cases where it's also free to use, so very easy. But 99% of the time I have my dbeaver open, all my DB connected there, and that's the only tool I need. Second is a bit more of a new tool on, I would say, my data stack. It's DarkDB. I'm sure you've heard of it if you've followed anything for the past 2-3 years in the data world. It's just the best DB that there is out there for starting a project when you don't want to commit to anything too heavy. It's embedded, it's fast, there's zero setup to run it locally on the SQL engine. It's basic SQL that you would expect. It's open source, which, we always love open source stuff, and it can still handle being actually deployed to production and on real projects. So it's great for a quick local prototyping, but also for actual deployed OSS use that is relatively lightweight, obviously, but still very easy, very cost efficient as well, which we love on a prototype or a personal project. We don't want to run up super expensive SQL bill. And it's one of those rare tools that is super trendy, but in my opinion, for the right and for good reasons. So one tool that for once is absolutely worth the hype. If you've never tried it, spin it up locally, get it working on your setup. You'll see it's very nice. And once you try it out, probably anytime you need a quick DB setup, that's where you'll go next. And because it has become so popular, now there's basically a whole ecosystem around it. So it's also become so powerful, and just you can add a lot to it. And most things now are also compatible with it. So just a great DB to start with. And finally, last but not least, because I would say it's a bit of a underrated tool now, but it's having a Pandas Jupyter notebook open. I know as a data engineer, I don't really run any ETL in a Jupyter notebook with some Pandas scripts, and I wouldn't actually run a whole pipeline just with Pandas transformation. But in my opinion, it's still great for some simple, quick transformation that are just written with 1 or 2 lines of very simple Python codes, especially because I've used it a lot and it's like a tool most of us have had to like study and then do a lot of like school projects on. So it comes very easily for me to write up the like basic functions that are part of pandas. And you can also very easily visualize things with the data frames concepts, and in a notebook you can just display them and see them directly. So it's also sometimes very nice when instead of going from the Beaver to my Python script, I just have my Python in a notebook and then I print out the data frames or like a part of the data as a data frame. I think it works great when you're like still in that stage of figuring what the final script is gonna look like. And obviously I still always parallelly have the like final version of the script, but it just allows me to like quickly iterate and then go back to old functions and have like a bit of a visual feedback loop as well. And it's very simple to set up. Like instead of having a complex pipeline, you just create your .ipynb file and that's it. You just get started. I know all the functions by heart by now, and it's just very quick and very simple. Obviously, this is not something that I like take to production or that I carry on for a long time, but it just gets the job done when I need to move fast and figure things out as I go. And to me, the word notebook is actually perfect because that's kind of like a physical notebook that I just like write quick things and quick thoughts down. I basically do that but in code in my Jupyter notebook, and Pandas allows for a lot of data functions to be easily made within a Python script. So just that setup to me is a lot like a virtual notebook, if you will, of like a data project. And with that, the list is complete. I know, fairly simple list, and I think it's a bit going against a grain currently because I see so many videos of like complex setup where you need like a full like dbt cloud setup, a full like Databricks, a warehouse, you need Spark, you need Kafka, all of those like complex setups. And obviously in like a lot of like especially company big projects, you need those complex setups because those are real world cases and they are great at what they do. But for 90% of projects, when they just start, you just need something to like get the project off the ground, get started, be able to iterate quickly and not be like burdened with a very complex setup that will also be harder to migrate, whereas this very basic setup allows you to basically migrate it almost instantly once you've kind of figured out all the use case for your data projects. So in my opinion, it just covers the basics without burdening you on the long term when you're still iterating on what you actually want the project to look like. And it's also super cost efficient, which is always very important for a personal project. Maybe you don't want to put hundreds of euros on this like data project that you've decided to take on this month, or even in like a company setting, maybe they don't want to spend thousands on like expensive cloud and warehouse bills, and they just want to like try a new concept, see how it works, and then once you like sort of like validate this prototype, then it will go into like actual production with like a real full setup and the higher bill that goes with it. But at least you can quickly demonstrate in like a week or two, get something built and showcase the point of investing into the bigger setup. And I think that's also something very close to me. I'm sort of a tech minimalist, if you will. I think just sometimes you don't need to make everything complicated. Most use cases can be run on very simple setups, and it's just consistently more efficient in my experience to go with that. And then you can obviously add some more complex tools for very specific use cases, but you should always start with something simple, and those are the 3 tools I rely on for that. And with that being said, I will see you in the next video.